Here is where it gets worse. I started to inspect him to see how healthy he was. He had scabs on him from injuries, and more distressingly, all of his whiskers and eyebrows had been pulled out. Now, a cat's whiskers and eyebrows are not just like hair. They're extremely sensitive, and yanking one out of a cat will cause extreme pain. Now, a cat's whiskers and eyebrows are not just like hair. They're extremely sensitive, and yanking one out of a cat will cause extreme pain. That is how a beautiful kitten suffered under the boy's abuse. And that's the story Animals My Love would like to send everyone now. Please watch till the end. I found a small, beautiful kitten. I had never seen it before. You could see that he was filthy, covered with dirt and motor oil. He was shy and skittish, but I brought him some food and he allowed me to pet him carefully. I texted my wife at work and told her about him. She told me to bring him inside, but I was 2 steps ahead of her. I already had him inside and was setting up a bed for him. I told my wife he was living with us from now, and his name was Julius. Here is where it gets worse. I started to inspect him to see how healthy he was. He had scabs on him from injuries, and more distressingly, all of his whiskers and eyebrows had been pulled out. Now, a cat's whiskers and eyebrows are not just like hair. They're extremely sensitive, and yanking out one of them will cause extreme pain. We started asking around about the kitten. Turns out, the neighbors had gotten him for their 10-year-old son. He had some friends, and they held Julius down and tortured him, which included yanking out every single one of his whiskers. Julius is a very squirmy cat. It would have been difficult to hold him down and would have taken multiple people being extremely hard-handed with him. Once the neighbor's kid was done with him, Julius was tossed out and abandoned by the family, who felt they no longer had any use or obligation to take care of him. They were not much later evicted. Good riddance. It was a long time before he started really trusting us. He was incredibly happy to have a loving home and enjoyed his new feline siblings. But it was at least a year before he could cuddle with us. On rare occasions, when we needed to give him medicine, he completely freaked out just from being held down long enough to squirt some medicine into his mouth. We eventually took him to get microchipped. They did a scan and saw that he had already been microchipped. This family had actually paid an adoption fee for him just to let their son torture him before they cast him out. These days he is happy and healthy. He loves unconditionally. He loves to cuddle, sleeping in bed with me almost every night. He has learned to trust humans again, and is one of our friendliest and least shy cats now. I know he got lucky. I know that some animals and children are tortured far worse by the people who should in fact be taking care of them in a loving way. The fact that people can torment animals smaller than them, who have no way of defending themselves, including human children, just sickens me. That someone could be so horrible and unfeeling for a life that depends on them for love and care. It is incredibly sad that this is such a common occurrence around the world. It boggles my mind and makes me ashamed of the human race. It isn't considered a normal, healthy, well-adjusted feeling to want to torture and kill animals. Growing up, I knew a few people who had the same feelings. They were almost all abused in some way by adults or other children. They would catch and torture animals brutally. I would find their eviscerated, crucified victims staked up, usually where other people could find them. They would also torture other kids and could not be left alone with younger children. I remember one who was particularly into strangling people and animals, wanting to hold them off the ground by the throat. It was probably his favorite thing to do besides causing himself to vomit for fun. One of his parents or family members would pick him up by the neck and choke him. He felt powerless then, and he wanted to turn that feeling on someone else. All of these people needed psychiatric help. Some of them were institutionalized for their behavior. I believe it was probably the best thing for them. It is likely they would end up killing someone or being serial killers. They were serial killing animals without remorse, and moving on to humans is not a far stretch for someone with lack of empathy and remorse. These people are formally classified as psychopaths. They have an urge to kill. When it's done, they don't feel any remorse. I had another friend who had the urge to torture cats and dogs as a child. She was abused early on, and her parents were not sane enough to take care of her or her sister. She had self-esteem problems, depression, anxiety, insomnia, and eating disorders. She actually did stop having those feelings and now takes care of her own cat without abusing it. So, it's not guaranteed that mental disorders lead to becoming serial killers, but it's really important to deal with them now before you do something that you cannot undo. Tell a mental health professional what you are feeling. Don't ask the internet. I would take this problem to a real psychiatrist before it gets out of hand. There are ways of dealing with these urges that don't have to involve torturing and killing the innocent. If you agree with Animals My Love about this, please like and share this video to bring awareness to everyone. If you have any stories about animals, please send it to animalsmylove999@gmail.com. Thanks so much and see you in the next story.